Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. And we're going to be doing it with my deck of I am cards. Each and every one of these cards has a positive and empowering affirmation on it. And just like yesterday, we're actually going to continue to use my physical physical deck, the physical version of these that I have. I'm really excited about this because as I go through my day, I get to take this card and put it on my put it on my computer monitor as I work and as I get things done. And yeah, and it's really fun to really just be able to be reminded in every single moment whenever I'm not feeling that way that I can. So I'm really excited about that. So good morning to everybody. It is great to see you here. I see Shauna is here, Lauren, Dan, Brenda, Jean, Jeff. It is great to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like I'm just surrounded by friends first thing in the morning, and that's just a lovely and beautiful thing. Anyway, the question of the day is, what are you grateful for? And Shauna says that she's grateful for patient friends. Yeah, isn't that how it is? Our friends are people who know us more than anybody else. Very very closely. And one thing I found in all long term relationships is that sometimes I have to be patient with the people that I love, and sometimes they have to be patient with me. But either way, the fact is that it's really all about a commitment to continued relationship. Lauren says she's grateful for Maui Paul and my wake up call. Yay! She says I inspire her every day as she looks forward to enjoying a great time with me and her wonderful friends. Well, thank you so much for the compliment, Lauren. I enjoy doing this, and I very much enjoy just being a part of your world and having you be a part of mine. I think that the people who attend this regularly are people that I am uncommonly close to. So, thank you for that. Dan's joining us in here from Omaha. Good morning, Dan. I know that for you, this is even earlier, and I know that you're going through a lot of stuff right now, so thank you for making me a part of your day. Brenda Jean is grateful for the little things: a text from a friend, a phone call, hot and delicious coffee, a cold pool to jump into. Yeah. And hey, Brenda Jean, I know that you essentially have your very own resort cold pool right now that nobody else wants to jump into, at least not until sometime in February when we do the polar plunge. So yeah, I'm grateful, Brenda Jean, that you have the ability to actually get into a cold pool, that your surgery is healed up enough that allows you to jump into that cold pool and feel all that amazing release that I know that you get from that cold pool. So that's great. And I know also that the cold pool is something that you used to use for pain management. And I sincerely hope that as you recover from this surgery and basically have a body that is new and improved, that the cold pool will be more for emotional regulation and for just feeling those amazing feelings, and really just being able to slay your day than it is about mitigating pain. Let's just start your day from a baseline of I don't hurt. So I'm grateful for that. Jeff is grateful to live another day, and yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Me too. Every day that I wake up, I'm fortunate to have woken up, and I'm very grateful for that. And Dan says he's grateful that he has a terrific family and gets to be a part of it. 2 great grandchildren on the way. How cool that is, Dan! 3 generations have sprung from you, and how neat that is. So good on you. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy that you are really living your own best life. So we're gonna go over one of my cards today. I'm gonna ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. We're all gonna respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we use those magic words, those magic I am words, we are bringing this sentiment into our present first person tense. That means that it belongs to us. We get to own it. And yeah, so let's have some fun and let's own it today by saying that today I am authentic. I am authentic. I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. So I am authentic. I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. Are you authentic? You are authentic. You express your wholeness with compassion and candor. I'm going to write that down in the comments that I am authentic. I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. I am authentic today. You are authentic too. And authenticity is one of those things that is hard to be. And I say that because in order for us to be authentic, we have to really look at the truth of ourselves. And not all, and the truth of ourselves is not always something that we want to look at. I've had to have a lot of very difficult conversations recently because of just because of stuff going on in my life. And while I'm not necessarily comfortable talking about the specifics of that on the internet, just know that I've had to have I've had to have a lot of honest conversations with myself lately about myself, and and being authentic with myself is a very important part of presenting myself authentically to the world, of just being like, what you see is what you get. And so I am authentic, and I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. I was having a conversation a little earlier on about the spirals that we go through in life, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I chose a bit of a spiraling image for this. Is that we, sometimes I look at my own life, and I look at the bigger, the bigger patterns that have happened, and I think to myself, I'm like, am I really learning anything? Am I really getting any better at this? Why is it that I continue to see this situation over and over again? And then I realize, as I always do, that I'm looking at, it's like a spiral that I am looking at the situation. I might be in the same situation or a similar situation, but I am a different person going through it. And since I'm a different person going through it, I'm going to behave differently, and my mental state is going to be different. And so, I think about, like, when I was younger, I really didn't like my life, and so I legit ran away from it. And um, that's kind of how I ended up in Central America, was me running away from my life. And I got surrounded by a bunch of other people who were similarly running away from their lives, and other people who had done it in a much more healthy way. But definitely, I wasn't one of them at the time that I did it. And sometimes I think to myself that, hey, are the things that I do in life me running away from myself? And when that happens, I have to look at my own choices. I have to look at my ways of being. I have to look at who I surround myself with and why, and recognize that that more than anything else, I'm actually able to express my wholeness now, today, authentically, more than I could in the past, more than I had the emotional availability to do that. And so I find that I am authentic, and that I am more authentic every single day. Um, Brenda Jean asks, how is authenticity balanced with evolution and growth? Well, that's a really insightful question, Brenda Jean. I think that I'm not even sure that they exist on both ends of a balance beam. I think that in order for us to evolve and grow, that we have to be authentic, that we have to recognize who we are, and accept that, and be okay with that, and just lean into our strengths, and also delegate away our weaknesses. And in order to do that, we have to know who we are. And so we will evolve, and we will grow, and we consistently are evolving and growing. Every day that we wake up is a new day. We're not the same person. We've had a whole 24 hours of experiences prior to us waking up again. And then we have slept, we have dreamed, we have integrated subconsciously all of the experiences that we've had, good, bad, indifferent, however it is that we judge them. And so, instead of you know instead of in, instead of thinking that I am consistently, or consistently reacting the same way, I guess is how I'm trying to put that. um, my evolution is that the same situation will pop up, or a situation will pop up that made me feel a way that I did in the past, and I will respond to it differently. I actually had a very recent situation happen, where a bank that I do business with had done something where they violated my trust. And when I looked into it more deeply, I realized that they had violated my trust incredibly deeply. Like they had, they had basically changed their contract in such a way that they could unilaterally modify it without my consent, which isn't something that I think is appropriate behavior for a bank. Maybe for a payday loan place, but not for a bank. And so at this point, I have to reconsider my business relationship with them, because just in the same way that I would reconsider my relationship with anybody or any organization that would unilaterally modify the terms of an agreement without consent or without even notification in this case, which, as it turns out, is a fairly modern legal practice that is employed by many, many organizations, including but not limited to banks, which is how I figured out. I was like, wait, I didn't agree to these terms. And they're like, yeah, you don't have to. We just changed them without telling you. And I've actually had something similar like to that happen in the past, and it bothered me for probably months. And this time it bothered me for days. And so even though I had the same situation, I looked at it in a different way. I behaved in a different way, and even though some of the old feelings came up, not all of the old feelings came up. And I feel like I was able to express my own authenticity by being more empowered about the way that I communicated with them, about the way that I felt like they had not treated me well. And in the end, I get to put that baggage down and not carry it with me for a month. I did have to carry it with me for about a day, 2 days though, and boy, let me tell you, I don't like carrying that stuff for a couple of days. I can't imagine how I carried it for a month in the past. So yeah. So Brenda Jean says, who we are sounds finite and determined. Instead of leaning into my strengths, examine my life to find weaknesses and try to train them up. I'm all about training up weaknesses, Brenda Jean, but I'm also about delegating away weaknesses. So train them up absolutely, so that when I have to do them for myself, that I do them well, but also to the best of my ability, delegate the things that I'm not good at to the people who are good at them, so that I can really lean into their strengths and I don't have to lean into my own. And in doing so, just be a bit more of a collaborative person. There is absolutely nothing wrong with training up our weaknesses. In fact, I think that's an important part of life, is to recognize where we're weak and to make efforts to make our weaknesses better. But I think that we get a lot more benefit out of training up our strengths, and taking the place where we're strong and becoming even more strong there, so that other people can just lean into us with ironclad faith that we will continue to just be able to be strong in places that they're not strong. And so I think that that's a really important aspect of authenticity. We get to express our wholeness, and expressing our wholeness is not just done with the words that we say; it's done with the actions that we do. Our wholeness is something that is expressed in every moment as we are alive, as we are living, as we are breathing. We are expressing the wholeness that is inside of us, and the degree to which that we express that is the degree to which we are authentic. And so we have to express our wholeness with compassion. We have to. One of the reasons that I train up my strengths is because I have compassion for the people around me who are strong in different ways, and I desire to be strong for them and to help them out in the ways that they need help, uh, so that and to basically allow them to lean on me, and I want them to be able to lean on a very strong version of me, because if I have to lean on somebody else, I want to make sure that somebody else is very, very strong. Kind of brings up something. So I'm about to go traveling. I'm going to get on an airplane and fly over to Pennsylvania and handle stuff related to my dad's final days on this earth. And my thought every time I get on an airplane is always the same. I always have the same similar, the same thought that runs through my head, which is that I have to completely abandon myself to the strengths of the pilot who is piloting the airplane. There is absolutely nothing that I can do on that airplane to get us there safely. My job is to sit in the chair and relax and let people who are good at what they're doing do it well. And so, as I do that, my one of my roles, of course, is to make sure that I'm supporting the pilot in their job of getting the airplane safely to its destination by not being a rowdy passenger, by just sitting down, shutting up, and getting into my book or listening to music or whatever it is that I'm doing while I'm on the airplane, talking with the person who's sitting next to me. And you know I have to really lean into their strengths. So I'm not going to try to train up my ability to fly an airplane so that the person, so that I might be able to potentially help the person who flies an airplane one day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to train up my ability to sit quietly so that the person who flies an airplane is able to do it really well. There are things that we can control in life, and there are things that we have less control over. And I feel like my strengths, the things that I'm really good at, those are things that I can manifest more control over. And my goal is to just really lean into that stuff, because while I can do everything in life, I can't do everything all at the same time. And there are some things that I just don't want to do well, that I don't desire to do well. And when there are other people who handle, other people who can do these things really well, I desire for them to, I desire for them to just take it over and just make it happen. So I am authentic today. I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. Um, yeah. So Brenna Jean doesn't think that the flight reference is relevant to what she's trying to get to. She says, if you don't handle stress well, you should train up that skill. If you're impatient, you must train up that skill. Uh, and we have to have a growth mindset. We can't always depend on other people to shore up our weaknesses. We can't always depend on them, but this life that we're in is a collaborative one inherently. And when I lived in Costa Rica, I was party to many people who had dropped out of society in the same way that I had, and that in doing so, I just sort of watched the ways that they did it. And the ones who did it in a spirit of collaboration, who recognized the things they were good at and the things that they weren't good at, all had better lives. The ones who wanted to do everything themselves and literally just got off the grid completely and had to provide everything, and I do mean everything, for themselves, from toting water to making sure that the animals that they were taking care of were remained alive, to dealing with the government, dealing with the challenges of living in a foreign country. Those people who refused to really lean into the strengths of others or refused to collaborate with others had the absolute hardest time of it. But the people who said, okay, hey, I'm good at animal husbandry, so I'm going to do some of that, and I'm going to hire people who are better with dealing with the paperwork related to be remaining legally in this country. Those people had a much easier time of it. And there was a time in my life where I thought, well, I just want to get completely off the grid. I don't want to be reliant on anybody. I don't want I don't want to be beholden to society as a whole. I just desire to be doing my own thing. I don't want to answer to anybody, and I'm willing to sacrifice what it takes. And when that happened, I found myself living on top of a mountain in Costa Rica, still very, very much dependent on the people around me, but also not availing myself of their services when they were available to me. And yeah, so it rather than, for me at least, I view life as being more of a collaborative thing. And while I certainly have plenty of strengths and weaknesses of my own, my goal is always to lean into the places that I'm strong and delegate the places that I'm weak. And yeah, I mean, I ultimately I get stronger in all ways just by being alive, and by having the the perspectives that I gain, simply from spending time on this planet. But in my world, just one of the ways that I live, and I'm not saying it's the right way to live, I'm saying it's the way that I live. But one of the ways that I live is finding people who are good at what they do, and then trusting them to be good at what they do, so that I don't have to be good at what they do. And in that way, I get to express my wholeness with compassion and candor. I get to express myself in ways that are really beneficial for me. So I am authentic today. I express my wholeness with compassion and candor. And that means that I express the parts of myself that I like. I also express the parts of myself I don't like. And oftentimes I do the latter without even meaning to. So we are authentic people today. Let's go out today and just be authentic. Let's express ourselves. Let's express our wholeness. Somebody actually, asked me the other day. They had some piece of criticism for me, and I don't remember what it was. But they asked me. They said, how I don't want to offend you, but this is the way that I feel about this. And I said, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate you answering me honestly, and you being honest about the way that you feel, because now we can have an authentic relationship. And I don't have to agree with all my friends to love all my friends. I find that I there are plenty of fundamental ways in which I disagree with the people around me, and I'm totally okay with that. And you know what? So long as they're totally okay with it too, we can continue to have a relationship. So I am authentic. You are authentic. Let's be authentic today, and let's be bold in our authenticity. Let's recognize that we are inherently worthy and deserving of being ourselves, and that as we go through life, the strengths that we bring to the table are valuable to the people around us. I will return tomorrow with another wake up call, and we will go through yet another empowering affirmation for ourselves. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. This one has run a bit long today. And yeah, thanks for sticking around with me. Y'all are amazing. I will talk to you again tomorrow at 9 a.m. We will be right back to start our day right. Until then, just know that I love you, that I care about you, and then I do that authentically, and that you mean a lot to me. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha.